Hello everyone, I am Komal Mehta, teaching as an assistant professor in CSC department at St. Andrew Institute of Technology and Management, Gurgaon. Today, in the series of course System Development and Analysis, we will cover about data flow diagram, that is the main tool in a structured analysis. About structured analysis, I already covered in my previous video. You can go through from that video. Now, in further videos, I will cover all the tools in a structured analysis. So firstly, we will cover about DFT. Firstly, we have to discuss about structured analysis here. I'm just giving a brief intro of structured analysis. It is a set of techniques and a graphical tools that allow the analyst to develop a new kind of a system that is understandable to the user. That means we can say to understandable knowledge of a end user, we will create a graphical criteria of any system that is called as a system analysis, or we can say structured analysis. To giving a particular structure of a system is known as structured analysis. Once I am searching all the requirements, once I am getting all the specifications of the user, we will do it with the help of so many tools. So it is a systematic approach which use graphical tools to analyze and to redefine the objective of the existing one so that it is easy to develop a new system specification for the user. Once uh, once the user will get about the existing one system, then the new proposing one will be definitely improved because we know about the loopholes of the existing one. So the specifications in the existing one will be done with the help of analysis, and to giving that analysis in a structured format is called as a structured analysis. So there are some tools for a structured analysis, but why we need these particular tools for a analysis? So these are some reasons. Firstly, using graphics whenever possible helps us to communicate with the help of user. For the betterment of the user, we need graphical representation, and that representation is done with the help of tools. That's why we are using these one. Second concept is that it helps in differentiation between the physical and the logical one, because physically what we actually seeing is this is differentiable in comparison of the logical one, what actually the implementation is. So to differentiate these both, we need some tools to build a logical system model to familiar the user with the system characteristics and interrelationship before implementation. uh, if I'm doing any task and I'll directly implement it, but if there is any error or user is not satisfied from that, then we have to recreate again a system. So that will be time taking. The better way is to checking before the implementation. So this will done with the help of these tools. These tools helps us to showing a visualization of what they actually want to create before implementation. If there is any error occur or if there is any expectations left out from the user end, then that will be covered with the help of that visualization. But before implementation, we will have to do this, because after implementation, this will not a fruitful way. So let's start about DFT. DFT is a data flow diagram. As the name suggests, it is the data that is flowing with the help of one phase to another phase, or we can say one module to other module. It is also known as a bubble chart. So to express the requirements of a user, we use a graphical way, and right now I am using the graphical way is called as a DFT. It is visually represent system and a process that would be hard to describe in chunks of a text. Because why so? Because we can say there are so many data correlated from one particular module to another module. If we want to correlate these chunks with the help of textual format, then we getting confused, because the textual format not showing the linking of these concepts. So to link all these, we need a graphical manner, and that graphical manner is called as a DFT here. So we can use these diagrams to map out an existing system, and for the better or a improved new system implementation, this is fruitful one. As I discussed earlier, visualization is done in each element, make it efficient, and the uh, inefficient module converted into efficient one with the help of best possible outcome of that particular problem. So once the objective is set for a DFD to show the scope and the boundaries of a system as a whole, the objective will be fulfilled with the help of that way. It shows how data enters and leaves the system, what changes the information, and where data is stored. So the we can say the main concept where data storage will be occur, what the information we want to transfer, what is the input, what is the output. So these main key concepts will be discussed with the help of DFT. It helps in you in the communication tool between the system analyst and the person who plays a part in order to acting as a starting point for redesigning of a system. For example, uh, op- I am opening a startup company, right? In my academy, I want to create a blueprint of according to my choice. But I'm hiring an architect. That architect will not creating in according to my way. So with the help of that blueprint, I'm getting that particular knowledge that this is not my requirement or this is additional one. So I'll modify it before implementation. That's why the DFD is helpful. So there are so many types of so many levels we can say, but before levels we will cover about the types. There are two types of a DFT. First one is logical one, next one is the physical one. In logical data flow diagram, we will focus what happened actually in a information flowing way. What information we want to transmit, who will receiving that information, where it will getting stored, and what are the general processes will be occur. Here the non-technical one easily understand the concept, because in this we will not cover about the technical portion. The technical portion is omit out in the logical data flow diagram, because it is just for the end user who will requesting for that one, and that particular end user don't have any technical knowledge of that system. If he or she has that knowledge, then he can already created that one, but he will be hiring any person that he don't get that knowledge. So the technical information is not included in the logical data flow diagram. Non technical information will be understandable by the end user who will requesting for that system. Next is physical data flow diagram. This is completely a technical part, because in this how the things will happen will be covered. The software we will use, the hardware we will use, what are the files, where all these files, and how these are correlated, what the information flow, and how the information will flowing from one module to other module. All these detailed information will be covered in the physical data flow diagram. So non-technical person or non-technical employee will not able to understand these one, because this is the core concept of a technical knowledge. So these are the types of a data flow diagram. Now to create a DFT, we need some symbols to show the entities. Entities means anything in the diagram in a system is called as an entity. So to describe the entity, we need some symbols that helps in showing what type of the entity that is. For example, we use sphere for a source or a destination. From one point to another point, once we want to reach, the starting point is called as a source and the ending point is called as a destination. So to represent a source or a destination, we need a sphere symbol. To reach from one place to another place, or we can say one module to another module, we need to flow the data, and that data flow will be done with the help of arrow symbol. It is also called as a pipeline through which information flows. So with the help of arrow we will represent the data flow, or data information will be flow with the help of arrow. After that, circle or a bubble we can say is a process that transform incoming data flow into outgoing data flow. Here I'm taking one example. For example, there is some data available in a RAM, right? But I want to use that data, so I will access the RAM, or we can transfer it in a cache memory. The transmission done from RAM to cache memory is done with the help of processor, and that processor helps to process the data. So the processor here is representing as a circle, the RAM here is representing as a square, and the cache memory is also representing as a square. But the linking between square and a circle is with the help of arrow. So one more thing here is open rectangle. That is a data store, or the whole data will be stored at particular duration or at particular place is represented as a open rectangle. In my previous example, the whole data is in ROM, secondary memory we can say. So in ROM we will representing as an open rectangle, and RAM is representing as a sphere. Cache memory is also representing as a square, and the linking between cache, RAM and ROM is done with the help of arrow. I hope this is clear to all of you. Next are the steps to create a DFT. There are some main concepts we have to focus before creating a DFT. Firstly, we must identify what are the major input and output in our system so that the communication will be done. Next is building a context diagram. With the help of these input and output, we will have to focus about the diagram we will build. Now expand that diagram in level 1 DFT. Here I will discuss it later about the level 1, level 2. Just I am giving the steps here, and then I'll describe these one. Next is expanding to the level DFT2. After that, accuracy will be checked in a final diagram. So there are some particular rules for constructing these one. Processes must be named or a numbered for a easy reference so that they can easily rememberable, we can say. These names must be unique. No two processes have a similar name so that we can differentiate these one. The direction of a flow from top to bottom or left to right, vice versa is not applicable, because once the data will flow, it will flow from top to bottom or a left to right. Next is data flow from source to destination. That means the data will flow in one way, not in a two way. It is not possible to transmit data from destination to the source. When a process is exploded into lower level detail, they are numbered. For example, as we can see in the index part, if there is chapter number 1 and there have some subtopics of these of this chapter, then we will representing as a 1.1. And then again, if there are some other topic within that 1.1, then we will representing as a 1.1.1 or a ABC. So we have to numbering in according to the split and way. So this is exploded into lower level detail, for example 1 to 1.1. Next point is the name of a data source, sources, destination are written in a capital letter. To capitalize these letters, this will be a highlighting or emphasizing the uh, system. That's why the processes and data flow have to be capitalized. Sorry, source and destination, every word is capitalized, and the data flow and the processes will, each letter or each word will be capitalized. Now I am covering about the levels of the DFT. DFT have multiple levels. We can categorize these by the help of levels. Firstly, level 0. It is also called as context diagram. In the steps, I am describing that we have to expand a context diagram into different levels. But first level is level 0. So create a context diagram, that means level 0 DFT will be discussed here. The most basic data flow diagram is this one. This completely give a broad view of what actually we want, what actually we get, and where we get. That means the external and the internal entities connections will be discussed in the level 0. Here I am showing one example of this one. For example, railway reservation we want to do. Then passenger have to reserve with the help of railway reservation. The whole system is railway reservation. And then passenger is a source, admin is a destination, because once I am sending a request, that means passenger sending a request, admin will proceed and then convey the ticket will booked or not. So this will be done with the help of admin. So that is called a destination. And here process is called a railway reservation, because task will be completely done in this module. So the arrow showing the information flow. Once passenger want to reserve, so he will communicate with the help of reservation arrow. Railway reservation process request to the admin that passenger information is this one, will we allow it or not. So then admin will revert up down train info. The information will be transmit to the railway reservation, and then railway reservation transmitted to the passenger. When passenger get information about the ticket info, he is not it is not suitable for that passenger, so he cancelled out that particular booking. So cancellation request again done with railway reservation, and then admin will cancel that reservation. The main or a broad view of the passenger criteria, admin criteria, and the railway reservation will be here. But the actual implementation in railway reservation is not mentioning anywhere in a zero level. So this is just giving a broad view, not a detailed view. In level 1, we have a general overview, but they go into more detail than context diagram. We will giving not complete information about any process, but in comparison of level 0, getting more detail in level 1, because a single process node from a context diagram into broken down into sub processes. What the actual task will be done over in the system will be discussed with the help of sub processes. Sorry, as the processes is added, the diagram will need additional data flow, data store to link them together. So this is the example of a level 1. Here reservation process will do some task, that is ticket generation process, report to the admin. If there is any inquiry, then passenger will also ask to the reservation process, and then inquiry module is again subparts, down storage, up storage, because there are so many types of inquiries will be there. There is some place where reservation information will be stored, so data storage for reservation process. So this is the just giving a broad view in the reservation part, not in the detailed part. What actually going in a ticket generation process, what actually the admin will do, how the inquiry will be dealt, these all will be covered in a level 2. In level 2, we will say about the more detailed sub processes will be there, and 2 plus have also, but they rarely usable, because they have detailed enough knowledge that is breakdown into multiple subparts that is unable to understand also. So the level 2 example is here. Here the reservation process also have a query process. If there is any inquiry, so one inquiry process will be there. Railway department have a waiting criteria, so waiting table will be there. If there is any cancellation process, so cancellation process have also subparts, that is cancellation table and generating the report. uh, if there is any reservation done, but that is not ticket is not generated, so we have a searching criteria for that. If the confirmation will be done, so confirmation process is also there. If there is waiting, then waiting process will be there. Once the ticket will be generated, ticket generation process will be there. So these all are the sub processes within one process, that is cancellation process have sub processes, but these sub processes also have one main process, and that one main process will be discussed in level 0. If I am discussing about the sub process, then that is in level 1. But once I'm going in detail part, that is 1.1.1, we can say that is the level 2, or we can move further in similar manner. As much as we want to explore, we can explore the criteria whatever we want. So these level help into exploring and linking the data. With the help of sphere, we will showing the source or a destination. With the help of open rectangle, we will here showing the data storage information. With the help of arrow, we will showing the data flowing, and with the help of circles or a bubbles, we can say These all are the processes that actually doing some tasks. So this is all about DFT. Data flow, I hope this is clear to all of you. Data flow diagram is one of the most important tool in a structured analysis. We must aware about what are the actual rules, what are the key points we have to focus here is what do you mean by entity, how we will represent these one, what are the levels, how can we differentiate between these levels. So these all are the key points for a DFT. I hope this is clear to all of you. Thank you.